Good morning. I want you to stay with me closely for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to share could change how you think about leg strength, aging, and the foods you eat every single week. A lot of older adults believe that weak legs are simply the price of getting older. They notice it gradually. Getting up from a chair takes more effort. Climbing stairs feels heavier. Walking across a parking lot feels longer than it used to. Balance becomes less certain. And eventually, many people tell themselves, well, I guess this is just what happens after 60. But that is only part of the story. Yes, aging changes the body. That is true. But loss of strength is not only about years on the calendar. It is also about whether your muscles are getting the materials they need to repair, rebuild, and keep working. When those materials are missing, muscle tissue becomes harder to maintain. The legs, which carry your body weight every day, often show that decline early, and this is why food matters so much. Your muscles are not passive. They are constantly responding to signals. They respond to movement, they respond to sleep, they respond to inflammation, and they respond to nutrition. If you repeatedly give them too little protein, too few key minerals, and too little support for circulation and recovery, they begin to lose ground. Not overnight, but slowly enough that many people do not realize what is happening until the weakness has already started changing daily life. The encouraging news is that food can work in your favor too. There are certain foods that are especially useful for older adults who want stronger legs, steadier walking, fewer cramps, better recovery, and more confidence moving through the day. These are not miracle products. They are not expensive powders. They are not trendy supplements. They are ordinary foods that can become powerful when used consistently. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 foods that can help support leg strength after 60. We'll talk about why they matter, how they work, and the best ways to include them in a weekly routine. And make sure you stay until the end, because the final food may be the most powerful of them all for preserving muscle, reducing inflammation, and supporting long-term mobility. Before we begin, think about this for a moment. What is one physical activity you want to keep for as long as possible? Maybe it's walking around the neighborhood. Maybe it's climbing the stairs in your own home. Maybe it's standing in the kitchen without your back and legs giving out. Maybe it's getting down on the floor with grandchildren and being able to get back up again. Keep that picture in your mind, because this conversation is not really about food alone. It's about protecting that part of your life. Let's begin with number 5. Hashtag number 5. Sweet potatoes. This one surprises a lot of people, because when they think about muscle, they think only about protein. But sweet potatoes deserve a place on this list for a very important reason. They support the environment your muscles need in order to function well. Strong legs are not built on protein alone. Muscles also depend on steady energy, good circulation, healthy nerve signaling, and mineral balance. Sweet potatoes help on several of those fronts. One reason they're so useful is that they provide a source of slow, steady carbohydrate. That matters because your muscles run on energy. If you constantly eat refined carbs that spike blood sugar and then crash it, your energy becomes unstable. That leaves many older adults feeling weak, shaky, or tired, especially later in the morning or mid-afternoon. Sweet potatoes are different. They offer a more stable release of energy, which helps the muscles work without the roller coaster. They're also rich in potassium, and potassium is a mineral many older adults do not think about until they start dealing with cramping or that heavy. Tired feeling in the legs. Potassium helps muscles contract and relax properly. When intake is poor, the legs may feel more irritable, more prone to cramping, and less dependable during movement. Another reason sweet potatoes matter is that they are rich in colorful plant compounds and vitamin A precursors that support overall cellular health. In plain language, that means they help the body manage some of the wear and tear that builds up with aging. And there's a practical point here too. Sweet potatoes are easy to digest, easy to prepare, and easy to pair with other muscle-supporting foods. That makes them much more useful than many people realize. Now, the way you prepare them matters. A sweet potato covered in sugar and marshmallows is not what we're talking about. The best version is simple: baked, steamed or roasted. Skin on if tolerated. Maybe a drizzle of olive oil. Maybe a little cinnamon. Maybe served beside eggs, fish, or beans. That turns it from a side dish into a real part of a strength-supporting meal. A great example would be half to one medium sweet potato with breakfast on a day when you plan to walk or exercise later, or alongside lunch with a protein source like sardines, salmon, or eggs. The point is not that sweet potatoes alone build muscle. The point is that they help create stable energy and better mineral support, which makes the muscles more functional and less likely to feel depleted. For many older adults, especially those who feel dragged down by low energy, cramps, or heavy legs, this is a very smart food to add back into the routine. Hashtag number 4. Black beans. Black beans are one of the most underrated foods for aging muscles. When people think about building or preserving strength, they often assume they need something exotic, expensive, or heavily marketed. But black beans offer something extremely valuable in a very ordinary package: protein, fiber, minerals, and slow-digesting carbohydrates all at once. That combination matters more than it first appears. First, let's talk about protein. Older adults generally need to be more intentional about protein than they were when they were younger. The body becomes less efficient at using it, which means casual intake often isn't enough. Black beans help fill that gap. They may not be the only protein source you need, but they contribute meaningfully, especially when eaten regularly. Second, black beans provide magnesium and potassium, two minerals that are important for muscle function. Magnesium helps muscles relax properly after contraction. Potassium helps them fire and coordinate well. When people lack these nutrients, they may notice cramps, twitching, weakness, or a sense that their legs feel tight and uncooperative. Third, the fiber in black beans supports steadier blood sugar and digestive health. That may not sound directly related to leg strength, but it is. Stable blood sugar helps support energy and reduces the fatigue that can interfere with movement. Better digestive function can also support better nutrient absorption overall. And there's another reason black beans deserve attention. They are satisfying. They help create meals that keep people full and nourished instead of hungry an hour later. That is important for older adults who need better nutrition but do not want to be constantly snacking. The simplest way to use black beans is not to overcomplicate them. Add them to soups. Serve them beside eggs. Mix them into a vegetable bowl with olive oil and seasonings. Combine them with brown rice or quinoa for a more complete protein profile. Mash them with garlic and cumin. Add them to lunch or dinner several times per week. If you use canned beans, rinse them. If you cook dried beans, even better. The key is consistency. A lot of older adults fall into a routine where meals become easy but nutritionally weak. Toast, crackers, processed snacks. Not enough protein. Not enough fiber. Not enough minerals. Black beans help correct that in a very practical way. And because they're affordable, they're one of the few foods on this list that almost anyone can use regularly without feeling like they need to overhaul their entire budget. If you want stronger legs, your meals need to do more work for you. Black beans are one of those foods that quietly do a lot. Hashtag number 3. Eggs. If there is one food on this list that deserves a permanent place in many older adults' kitchens, it is eggs. Eggs are one of the most effective, accessible, and efficient foods for supporting muscle. They provide high-quality protein, and they do it in a form the body can use well. That alone makes them valuable, but eggs offer more than protein. The yolk contains choline, vitamin B12, vitamin D, and other nutrients that support nerve function, muscle contraction, and energy production. That matters because stronger movement is not just about bigger muscles. It is also about better communication between the brain and the body. When someone says their legs feel slow, clumsy, or disconnected, part of that may be muscle weakness. But part of it may also be that the whole nerve muscle system isn't being supported well. Eggs help with that. One of the biggest mistakes older adults make is eating very little protein in the morning. Coffee and toast, a pastry, cereal, maybe nothing at all. That leaves the body without the raw materials it needs after an overnight fast. Eggs are one of the easiest ways to change that. Even 2 eggs can meaningfully improve the nutritional value of breakfast. 3 eggs may be appropriate for some people depending on appetite, activity, and overall diet. The main point is that breakfast should begin helping your muscles rather than starving them. Another strength of eggs is versatility. They can be soft boiled, poached, scrambled, or folded into an omelet with vegetables. They can be paired with black beans, spinach, tomatoes, or sweet potatoes. They can be eaten alone when appetite is low or built into a larger meal when more fuel is needed. And unlike many heavily advertised high-protein foods, eggs don't pretend to be healthy. They just are useful. Now, preparation does matter. Deep-fried breakfast sandwiches covered in processed meat and refined bread are not the goal here. A simpler meal is better. Scrambled eggs with spinach and olive oil, soft-boiled eggs with a side of roasted sweet potato, an omelet with vegetables and a few black beans on the side. This is the kind of meal that gives your legs something real to work with. If you have noticed more difficulty getting out of chairs, climbing stairs, or walking with confidence, eggs are one of the first foods worth improving in your routine. They are not glamorous, but they are effective. And when it comes to preserving function after 60, effective matters more than glamorous. Hashtag number 2. Sardines. Now we come to one of the most overlooked foods in the entire conversation about aging muscles. Sardines. A lot of people hear the word sardines and immediately tune out. They think of them as old-fashioned, too strong, or simply not for them. But nutritionally, sardines are extraordinary, especially for older adults who want to protect their legs. Sardines offer a rare combination of benefits in one food. They provide protein. They provide omega-3 fats. They provide vitamin D. They provide calcium if the soft bones are eaten. And they do all of that in a compact, affordable serving. That's a remarkable package. Let's start with protein. Like eggs and fish, sardines offer high-quality protein that helps support muscle repair and maintenance. That's essential after 60, when muscle loss tends to accelerate unless food and activity are supporting the body well. Then there are the omega-3 fats. These are especially important because they help reduce inflammation. Many older adults live with low-grade chronic inflammation that affects the joints, muscles, blood vessels, and overall recovery process. When that inflammatory burden is high, the body often feels stiffer, sorer, and slower to bounce back. Omega-3 rich foods can help shift that. Sardines also matter for bone and muscle together. That's an important point. Strong legs are not just about muscle tissue. They also depend on a reliable skeletal structure and good neuromuscular coordination. Calcium and vitamin D both play a role there. Another reason sardines are so useful is practicality. A can of sardines can become a meal in minutes. No complex preparation. No waiting. That matters more than people think. The easier a food is to use, the more likely it becomes a real habit. If you're new to sardines, you don't have to eat them plain if that feels unappealing. Mash them with lemon juice and a little olive oil. Put them on whole grain toast with tomato. Add them to a salad with cucumbers and greens. Mix them with herbs. Keep it simple. 2 or 3 times per week is a very reasonable target. People often spend a lot of money chasing powders and supplements for strength while ignoring inexpensive foods that can do real work. Sardines are one of those foods. They may not be glamorous, but they offer several major advantages at once. And for older adults dealing with weak legs, poor recovery, sore joints, or a general sense that their body is losing resilience, foods that check multiple boxes at once deserve serious attention. Sardines do exactly that. Hashtag number 1. Wild salmon. If there is one food on this list that stands out as the most powerful all-around choice for supporting leg strength after 60, it is salmon. Wild salmon in particular brings together several of the most important things aging muscles need: high-quality protein, omega-3 fats, vitamin D, and a nutrient profile that supports recovery, circulation, and inflammation control all at once. That matters because muscles do not fail for only one reason. They weaken when the body is undernourished, undermuscled, under-recovered and over-inflamed. Salmon helps address several of those problems at the same time. Let's begin with protein. Salmon provides the building blocks muscles need to repair and maintain themselves. This is especially important in older adulthood when the body becomes less responsive to smaller amounts of protein. In other words, quality matters. Salmon gives you quality. Then there are the omega-3 fats, which may be one of the most valuable parts of the package. These fats help support muscle health and may help reduce the kind of chronic inflammation that contributes to stiffness, soreness, and slower recovery. For older adults who feel like their legs never quite recover after activity, this is a big deal. Salmon also supports circulation and overall cardiovascular health, which indirectly benefits the legs as well. Your muscles need blood flow. They need oxygen. They need nutrient delivery. Better circulation supports better function. And unlike many foods that seem healthy in theory but do not leave people feeling satisfied, salmon usually does both. It nourishes and it sustains. Now, let's be practical. You do not need to eat salmon every day for it to be useful. Even 2 or 3 servings per week can make a meaningful difference as part of an overall strength-supporting diet. The best preparations are the simplest ones. Baked salmon with olive oil and herbs, pan-seared salmon with vegetables, flaked salmon served with sweet potato and greens, leftover salmon at breakfast with eggs. All of these can work. Try not to overcook it. A dry, overcooked piece of fish is less pleasant to eat and makes people less likely to keep it in the routine. Moist, simple, and repeatable is the goal. If wild salmon is not always accessible, other fatty fish can still help. But if you can choose salmon consistently, it is one of the strongest investments you can make in your weekly meals. What I like most about salmon is that it does not only support strength, it supports resilience. And that may be the better word for what most older adults are really after. Not just bigger muscles in theory, but a body that feels steadier, recovers better, and allows them to keep participating in life. That's what this food helps support. Hashtag, how these foods work best together now here is something important. You do not need to eat all 5 foods every day. And you do not need to create a perfect diet overnight. What matters most is regularity. A lot of older adults do well when they gradually build these foods into a weekly rhythm. Eggs several mornings each week, black beans in lunches or dinners, sweet potatoes as a reliable side dish, sardines once or twice, salmon 2 or 3 times weekly. That kind of pattern is realistic. And realistic patterns are the ones that actually last. It also helps to remember that these foods work best as part of a bigger picture. Food supports muscle. But muscles also need movement. If someone eats well but never challenges the legs, progress will be limited. On the other hand, if they walk, do light strength work, practice standing and balance, and also improve their meals, the results are often much more noticeable. The real goal is not perfection. It is giving your muscles a better environment than they had before. Hashtag the mistakes that weaken legs faster before we close. Let's quickly talk about what tends to work against leg strength. The first mistake is too little protein overall, especially early in the day. Many older adults eat most of their protein at dinner and almost none at breakfast. That leaves the muscles underfed for too many hours. The second mistake is living on refined carbohydrates. Toast, crackers, pastries, sugary cereal, and snack foods may be easy, but they do not support muscle well. The third mistake is not eating enough total food. Some older adults are unintentionally undernourished. Appetite drops, cooking feels like too much effort, and meals become smaller and weaker over time. The fourth mistake is assuming nothing can be done. That belief is often more damaging than people realize. It leads to passivity, and passivity speeds decline. Your legs are listening to what you do every week. They respond to neglect, but they also respond to care. Hashtag a simple weekly plan if you want to make this practical. Here is an easy way to start. Eat eggs at breakfast 3 to 5 times per week. Add black beans to meals 3 to 5 times per week. Include sweet potatoes several times weekly as a side. Eat sardines 1 to 2 times per week. Eat salmon 2 to 3 times per week. You do not need to start perfectly. Just start. Even one improved meal is better than another week of doing nothing. Hashtag closing so let's bring it all together. If you want stronger legs after 60, do not assume the answer begins and ends with exercise alone. Your muscles need support from the kitchen too. Sweet potatoes help provide steady energy and important minerals. Black beans bring protein, fiber, and muscle-supporting nutrients. Eggs offer one of the simplest and most effective ways to nourish muscle, especially early in the day. Sardines deliver protein, omega-3s, calcium, and vitamin D in one compact food. And salmon stands at the top as one of the strongest all-around foods for preserving muscle, reducing inflammation, and supporting movement as the years go by. None of these foods is magic by itself, but together they can help create a body that is better supported, better fueled, and better prepared to stay strong. That is the real message here. Age matters, yes, but it is not the only thing that matters. What you eat matters. What you repeat matters. And what you choose to support today can change what your legs are able to do tomorrow. So if you were going to start with just one of these foods this week, which one would it be? Pick one. Build the habit. Then, add the next. Because staying mobile is not only about avoiding weakness, it is about actively feeding strength. And your future independence may depend more on that than most people realize.